Hello, my name is Rabbi Hanan Schlesinger. This week we're talking about the Torah's protest against religion. It's Parshat Shoftim, which is found in the book of Deuteronomy. Now, religion certainly encourages worship. It might even be correct to say that worship is at the core of religion as we usually know it. And therefore, it's quite strange that when you read the book of Deuteronomy, you get the impression that the Torah is on a campaign to outlaw the worship of God in just about all places and under just about all circumstances. It looks as if the Torah, so you'd have to conclude, is at least in part a blatantly anti-religious book. So I said that this week's Torah portion is Parshat Shoftim, which means judges, and it opens with an admonition that goes like this: you shall appoint judges and bailiffs for all your tribes in all your settlements, and they shall govern the people with due justice. End quote. And then the Torah goes on, it says, tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice you shall pursue. And it details the workings of the judicial system, which will adjudicate cases covering the broad gamut of human life, dealing with homicide, civil law, assault, as well as matters of ritual and religious law. Now, this matter of the Torah demanding that we establish a court system for all your tribes stands in stark contrast to what we find in last week's Torah portion. Last week's Torah portion was Parshat Re'eh, and there we found the following. We were told that the Canaanite nations who had lived in the land before the Israelites entered it, they worshiped their gods under every leafy tree, on the top of every mountain. They had altars to their gods in just about every place, in every backyard. And the command is found in last week's Torah portion that when the Israelites enter the land, they are to destroy all those altars of idolatry. And then the strangest thing, we are told that the Israelites were commanded not, I repeat, not to replace those altars with altars to the worship of the one God. Rather, so it seems, they're to leave the countryside bereft of the possibility to worship God. A vacuum is created. And the Torah goes on and says, be very careful. Do not sacrifice even to the one God in any place, in every place. No, sacrifice only b'makom asher yivchar, in the one place that God will choose. And later on in the Bible, we're told that one place is, of course, Jerusalem. What it turns out is, we're hearing a radical message. The countryside, as it were, is secularized. There's no possibility given to worship God in the fashion that people at that time in history knew to worship. Rather, in place of worship, you have justice, justice you shall pursue. The altars are basically eliminated from any place except Jerusalem, and they're replaced with courts of justice. Courts of justice. Justice takes the place of worship. The vacuum created by the destruction of the altars is filled by jurists and legal scholars, courts of justice who teach us and guide us in our daily behavior. Houses of worship are superseded by houses of justice and houses of Jewish law. Let's think about this. In biblical times, worship meant exclusively sacrificial worship. That's the way the people communicated with, felt close to their gods. The Israelites know sacrifice just like the idolaters did. They want to sacrifice to the one God. They want to feel close to God. They have a need to be religious and express that religiosity as they knew how. But the Torah basically denies them the opportunity to do so and says, take heed for yourselves, lest you offer sacrifices wherever and whenever you please. Rather, as we said, only in Jerusalem. The countryside is secularized. If you live outside of Jerusalem, how many opportunities will you have during the course of the year to come and worship God? 1, 2, 3 at the most, perhaps. What do you do the rest of the time? Justice, not worship. This justice system fills the land. Worship is eliminated, And what God primarily wants from us are those things that are within the purview of the courts: proper behavior, correct action, observance of commandments between man and God and man and man. It's integrity in business, it's fidelity in marriage, it's honesty in trade, it's punctilious observance of Shabbat and holidays, it's full remittance of tithes, it's family purity, it's tzitzit, it's tefillin, it's the whole gamut. That's what God wants, much more than worship. The message for our time, I think, is crystal clear. We Jews define religion a bit differently than our neighbors do. Judaism is less about worship and more about observance, doing the right thing in this world. God wants us to make this world a better place, tikkun olam, the proper behavior on the level of the individual, on the level of the collective. Worship, synagogue worship, certainly has its place, an important place. After all, in our day, it consists of prayer, not of sacrifice. But still, if synagogue worship becomes the be-all and the end-all of Jewish life, then something is remiss. Judaism cannot be limited, should not be limited to what goes on inside the sanctuary. Idolatrous religion was focused on worship. Jewish religion is focused on daily life in the real world. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom.